Hey guys, welcome to another Thursday edition of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. My name is Nick. Today I'm going to be talking about two new albums that I just recently picked up. One album, I got what I kind of expected out of it. I really expected it to be a good album, and it was. The other album, didn't really know what to expect, and was absolutely blown away by. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check all those out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for our merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that we put together every week, and also for the Patreon page. So make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. The first album is one that actually just came out last week. Came out September 2nd. Been a huge fan of this artist over the last couple of years. I was really anticipating this album, couldn't wait for it to get released, and so far I think it's lived up to the reputation, at least what I thought it was going to be. And that, of course, is the self-titled album from Youngblood. Been a big fan of him the last couple of years. His 2020 album Weird was probably one of my favorite rock albums of the last several years, and I was really interested to see what kind of direction musically he was going to go with this new album. The Weird was definitely more of kind of like a straightforward kind of rock, kind of pop punk, kind of pop album. And with the new album, I feel like he's a lot more confident in his songwriting, and it's a much more mature album. I think it's probably his most cohesive album from beginning to end that he's released. Obviously, he doesn't have a super long career. It's only his third studio album, but he's done a couple of EPs before. A lot of great stuff on here. There's definitely songs where he kind of continues that pop punk vibe that he had on Weird, but he also kind of stretches in some other elements, almost kind of like there's a couple of tracks that sound like they could be from The Cure, that kind of a different kind of rock sound that probably you're not really used to hearing from artists today. Where Weird had some kind of cartoonish kind of elements to it, I feel like he's really kind of fleshed a lot of that out in this album. There were tracks on Weird like Ice Cream Man, which is definitely a skippable track. There's definitely a couple more of the skippable tracks on Weird. Whereas this album, I feel, is really kind of a full, kind of fleshed out album. There's from beginning to end, I don't think there's really a track on here that I would skip over. But some of my favorite tracks on here, The Funeral, of course, which was like the lead single off this album, is just a great track. Tissues is great. Sweet Heroine's probably one of my favorite tracks on here. And The Boy in the Black Dress is another great track, kind of a great way to kind of finish the album off. So it's an album that I definitely recommend you checking out if you haven't. It definitely has a little more of a pop flavor, I think, than what Weird did. Weird was definitely more on the pop punk kind of edge, but it's still a really fantastic album. The next album is definitely the one that was a lot more surprising to me than the Youngblood release. This is a big artist. I didn't really know what to expect when I bought it. I blind bought this album just off of some reviews that I read about it, and I've been blown away by it. But the album is Holy Fuck by Demi Lovato. And if you think of Demi Lovato, you probably think of what I do. You think of Disney. I think she was on Sunny with a Chance was the TV show that she was on with Disney. And before that, I think she did Barney and Friends for a couple of years when she was even younger. But what people probably don't know is, or at least don't remember, is her first album, which was released back in 2008, was a straightforward kind of rock album, even though it had some pop elements to it. Her second album, which was released a year or two after, had a little bit more pop elements to that, and kind of she went further into the pop realm after that. But I think pop was something more that I think she was pushed into by her label and by the people managing her career. And I think she always kind of had one foot back in the realm of rock. But as of last week, this sat at number 7 on the Billboard 200 here in the U.S., and it was actually one of only 2 rock albums in the top 10, and one of 4 rock albums in the top 20. So it's a pretty good feat. Rock has definitely made some inroads over the last couple of years, and I think she's definitely capitalizing on that right now. But like I said, before, I think a lot of people kind of felt the way I did, where she was kind of like a Disney plant, and her career was really kind of contrived. But she's always kind of had, if you go back and kind of listen to a lot of her stuff, she's always had kind of a rock influence, at least somewhere on all of her albums. And I really had no idea she was even going down this direction until beginning of this year. She posted a picture on her Instagram, and it was her and a bunch of people sitting around all dressed in black, and the caption on it said, "A funeral for my pop music." And that was kind of I think a cue to, and she's really talked about it since then, that she was going to kind of she wanted to make this rock album, something she hadn't done in a long time, but something that was still just really kind of close to her, and something, she'd been a rock fan and followed solid rock music throughout her entire career. But like I said, this isn't her first foray into rock music. Her first album, Don't Forget, which was released in 2008, was number 2 on Billboard. And then Here We Go Again, which was released in 2009, was number 1. So she's definitely had some success with this genre before. And it just, I will say that if you're a fan of The Pretty Reckless, it's very reminiscent of what The Pretty Reckless has done over their last couple of albums. Just great stuff. I would say that this is definitely one of the best rock albums that I've heard from the last 5 years. I think one of the big things that really kind of separates these two albums from a lot of the other stuff that you're seeing out there that's being released in the world of rock over the last couple of years is, especially if you listen to stuff, even though I love Machine Gun Kelly's last couple of albums, there is kind of a very similar sound on a lot of those tracks. And with that Youngblood album, and especially with the Demi Lovato album, each individual track has its own very unique sound. Each track can stand on its own. There's not that consistent kind of sound throughout the entire album, which is, something that I think we really kind of have to get back to in rock music. So it's really great to see these two albums. Hopefully, they have a lot of success with them, because I absolutely love both of them. And with everything that Demi's been through over the last couple of years, I think it really kind of comes through on the album. There's definitely some darker themes on it, talking about, addiction and death and things like that. Things that, aren't, all, happy sunshine and roses that you typically expect from an artist like her. And if you really kind of go back through her last couple of albums, she definitely has some darker themes. But this one, it definitely kind of touches on a lot of the stuff that she's kind of gone through in her personal life. So I definitely highly recommend both of those albums. The Youngblood album, I think, is definitely be a little more of a targeted audience. I don't think, it's going to be, just kind of traditional rock fans might have some issues with some of the beats and things like that. That's definitely more contemporary on that album. But at least with the Demi Lovato album, it's really kind of just like straightforward, kind of fun, kind of rock music that she's doing on there. And it's just, I'm really impressed with it. Like I said, if you're a fan of Pretty Reckless, it's kind of what she kind of continues doing with this album in her own kind of way. It's not, I don't want to say that she's copying their sound or anything like that. They're very, I think that's a great direction for where rock music is going. What's all I got for you guys? Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below and let me know what you guys think. If you guys have listened to either one of these albums, I've been really, like I said, highly impressed with both of these albums. They're definitely in my top 5, top 10 albums of the year so far. I actually like them so much I bought them on CD also, so I can listen to them in my car. But let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.